Coming to the gathering place has changed me as a person. Before I came here, I truly didn't know the seriousness of hunger, poverty, mental illness, addictions, and the impact it was having on people in our community.
When we look at our world today, the things that we most need are not money. The things we most need in our world today are kindness, mercy, compassion, and justice.
There's no doubt the most difficult decision that our staff have to make on a daily basis is when our shelter in the evening is full and the staff have to turn people away. By far the most difficult decision our staff make.
It's heartbreaking when we have to turn people away at night because the 30 beds are filled. That's when we knew we had to go even further. And at that time then, our convent, which is attached to the gathering place, was a residence for several of our sisters, would be an ideal place to have a permanent shelter. And that's when we began to thinking about doing that. At that point, we thought it's cost prohibitive. We don't have enough money to renovate that building and make it a proper shelter.
We know our temporary shelter is not enough. We can't just keep putting people back out into the cold. We have to do more. That's where Pat and Paula come in.
Well, Sister Elizabeth was, by example, led, and I had known her for a number of years. From there, herself and Joanne Thompson, I knew Joanne was the new executive at that time, and we discussed all of the stuff, and she told me what they were trying to do. Paul and I had already discussed it, and that's when I had decided that I would donate the large sum that we did. So
there is not a single child in this world that ever said when they were small, when I grow up, I want to be homeless, and I want to be addicted, and I want to be on the streets. And so I just thought, really terrible things can happen to anybody. It can happen to us. And if we are lucky enough to be able to share, then we should share.
The work of the gathering place is challenging. We have a wonderful gathering place community made up of the staff members, volunteers, and most importantly, guests. But having support from the outside gives us the courage to go on. With the $2 million that Pat and Paula have given us towards that shelter, that gave the board the courage to find the more money it needed to find for its part, but it also gave us the credibility to go to others in the community and say, we need you to be part of this journey with us. And it gave us the strength to go to government and say, you have an ultimate responsibility here for the health of the people of this province.
So we currently are redeveloping the former Sisters of Mercy convent located right next door to the gathering place. And in the new development, we will have a larger, much better facility for an overnight shelter. We'll have transitional housing, and we'll have long-term supportive housing.
I grew up immediately after the war. I was 4 years old when the war finished. I saw more poverty than we've ever known here. Kids with no shoes, t-shirts on them in the middle of winter, even when it was snowing. But my mother was the most charitable person, and it was from her I learned how to give.
There's actually greater joy in giving than there is in receiving in your heart.
Pat and Paula, thank you. Thank you for including so many. Thank you for making lives better.
The contribution from Pat and Paula has actually kickstarted this project. It's now moving towards a reality. Without their contribution, this project would not be happening.
I've been exceptionally fortunate with my life, both in Newfoundland and across Canada. And it has given me the wherewithal to put it back into where I know it's most needed.
I just hope that that people will put the gathering place on their list of gifts of whatever kind that they can spare, and keep it in mind, because as a society, I think we are what the most vulnerable people are, and we should really be trying as hard as we can to lift the boat for everybody.